Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So tonight we are going to dive into chapter 6. So we are officially at the halfway point of the book of Ecclesiastes. So grab your tea or your coffee, your water, your favorite juice, and let's go ahead and dive in. So first we are going to talk about what is this chapter about? So I have my Bible right here, and I have my notes right here. And before we get in, I really want to share this with y'all. So when I do my notes, right, I like to put like tabs. So like what I do is like I buy the Bible tabs and I also put them in my notebook. So like as I study a chapter of the book, I use the tabs so that I can know where to go, for my notes for each chapter. So for instance, I'm just going to show y'all, like, this is my notebook, right? As you can see, I only got a few tabs on here. So I have like the Song of Solomon, Job, Ecclesiastes, and then James is in the back. So every time I start studying a new chapter, I start its own section of notes. And I find this so far to help me keep my notes organized versus like in the old book that I have, notebook, I'm just writing notes everywhere, and it's like it just doesn't serve me a purpose because I can't go back and reference to a specific chapter so that I can know, if I'm going through something or need to reference something, or if I'm out here trying to tell somebody about God, and if I got my notes with me, I can quickly go back and reference that. And then I created my own table of contents in my notes as well, so that way it's easier to know where to go to reference. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, you can use the Bible tabs for your Bible as well as your notebook. So I got my notes here for Ecclesiastes chapter 6, and we are going to dive into it. So chapter 6 really talks about how wealth is not the goal of life. And one thing I will say is that we be putting so much emphasis on material things, and we let material things pretty much drive our focus and drive our happiness, and it should not be that way. So a verse in chapter 6 that I want to read to y'all that really to me sums up the whole chapter is verse 7, and it says, all of a person's labor is for his stomach, yet the appetite is never satisfied. Like, don't you just love that? Like, I swear that pretty much sums up the whole chapter. I'm gonna read that one more time. All of a person's labor is for his stomach, yet the appetite is never satisfied. So to me, it just says no matter how much you get with your money, no matter how many materialistic things you go out and get, no matter how hard you work for something, you keep working hard to obtain things, yet you're still not content with what you already have, what God has already blessed you with. You're never satisfied. So that just says that we need to stop putting a lot of emphasis on material things. And before we dive and break down the chapter, I really just want to talk about how you can have an unhealthy attachment to material things when you have lacked something in your life before. If you are a person that, let's just say, you didn't grow up getting certain things, right? all of a sudden, when you grow up, you get the career you want and you're making the income you want, and all of a sudden, you're just spending your money not being smart about it and just buying material things, and you're just wasting. You're wasting your finances. You're not making good financial decisions, right? Um, I feel like we see that a lot in the entertainment business, the music industry, people who are famous, right? Some, I'm not going to say any names, but like some people who are celebrities, they tell their stories of how they grew up, didn't have anything, and now they got the money and they got all the jewelry, the cars, multiple houses. And, there's one particular rapper that pretty much said what I just said, and how it still doesn't make him feel happy. So it just shows you that money cannot buy happiness. It can help you obtain things that you didn't have before, but it's not filling that void, that lack. You know what I'm saying? So you need to go to our good Lord and Savior to help you fill those voids and to help you feel complete and at peace with yourself. So chapter 6, it dives into the frustrating, parts of life. Focuses on wealth and a dissatisfaction that we have. And one thing that I want to raise to you all is a question. And the question is, what is the point of accumulating wealth if you cannot derive pleasure from it? That is the question for this chapter. Okay? So, this chapter does highlight the negative, the bad parts of possessing great wealth and honor, but being unable to not enjoy it, right? It puts the emphasis on the material things, because it doesn't guarantee happiness. Okay? So I am going to read verses 8 through 9 of this chapter. And it says, "What advantage then does a wise person have over the fool? What advantage is there for the poor person who knows how to conduct himself before others? Better what the eye sees than wandering desire. This too is futile in pursuit of the wind." Y'all, I feel like with this, what it's talking about is the instability of the human desire, right? One thing I think about is like, you ever see something in a store and you're just like, ooh, I want that. Ooh, I want this. And it's like, you go in and you get something and then you see something else. You probably just never even went to go get it, right? And then you just buy it. It's like, just because you see it, you want it. And then on the opposite end, thinking of someone who's in a less fortunate position in their life. Easily, to use an example of someone that's homeless, right? That observes people that go out and just get things, and they're probably just like, man, if only I just had money to just get the necessities. It makes me think about the different perspectives when it comes to materialistic things. Like, we wake up, we go to our 9 to 5, or if you work for yourself, you're waking up to pour into your business, and we just make money to pay bills, but also go out here and spend money on meaningless things. And then on the contrast of that, we have people out here who are homeless or in shelters, or maybe they do have a job, but the income is like the bare minimum, right? Just the bare minimum. And they're more humble, they're more grateful, they're more appreciative of what God is able to provide for them in their life than those of us that just spend money and just going out here just spending it just to be spending it and not really being content with what we have, right? Like, when I think about money that we could be spending helping our community versus buying useless things, I'm gonna go back to the entertainment business. How, like, seeing some people in the entertainment businesses wear all these chains, and like you have all these cars. Like, honey, you can only drive one car at a time. I could see it. Maybe you had two cars, but dang, you got like 7 in your driveway, and most of them just sit there. It's just like stuff like that that I think about. Where it's like, man, we are just not content, and we need to be content. Um. So let's just talk about how we can apply Ecclesiastes chapter 6 to our life. We want to cultivate contentment. We want to be appreciative of the things God has provided for us. Just starting off with the basics of just having a roof over our head, food to feed ourselves, clothes on our back, a job, to pay our bills and to be able to provide the lifestyle that we currently have, whatever that may be. We just need to cultivate contentment, be more appreciative, and be more present in the moment. Be thankful for the blessings that we already have, rather than always striving for more. Sometimes you don't need to keep making goals to strive for things that are unnecessary. If you are setting goals for yourself to reach a materialistic level, that's not necessary. If you have, for instance, I'm going to give an example. If you have a 2-bedroom house and it's just you, but you're trying to aim for a 6-bedroom house just so you can start on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and make reels and things about this empty house just so you can let people know, ooh, I got this. Like, no. You're not content with what God has blessed you with. God has blessed you with enough. God gives you what you can handle. Okay? God gives you what you need. Your wants and what God says you need, they don't always be the same, because you could want this, but God gave you this because He says this is what you need right here. So we need to be appreciative and soak in the contentment of what God has blessed us with. Look around and just be like, dang, this is what I have. Like, literally look around and say, this is what I have. Like, we need to be able to do that, to cultivate a space of fulfillment with what God has blessed us with. What we have is enough. Okay? Okay. So, also, just applying chapter 6 to life is, acknowledge that you don't have all the answers and that life is often unpredictable. Sometimes things just happen. And when those unexpected things happen, we just need to Acknowledge that we're not going to have the answer to everything, and that everything is not meant for us to know. God doesn't want us to know everything. Some things is just for Him, separate from us to know. And we have to be okay with that. Okay? I want to read verses 1 through 3 of chapter 6. Here is a tragedy I have observed under the sun, and it weighs heavily on humanity. God gives a person riches, wealth, and honor so that he lacks nothing for all he desires for himself, but God does not allow him to even enjoy them. Instead, a stranger will enjoy them. This is futile and a sickening tragedy. A man may father 100 children and live many years. No matter how long he lives, if he is not satisfied by good things and doesn't even have a proper burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. So that was verses 1 through 3 of chapter 6. So, one thing I will say is that really just talks about the dissatisfaction of life. You know how money can't buy happiness, which is the overall theme of the book. You can have material wealth and still not be happy. You can have things and still want more. Once you get more, you are still searching. Okay? Rich or poor, mostly you just want to be satisfied. Satisfaction and peace is through God alone. I'm going to say that again. Satisfaction and peace is through God alone. The extra car in your driveway, that 5 to 6 bedroom house, $1 million in your bank account, being fortunate enough to go on vacation every 3 weeks are great. It's great, but if you don't have a relationship with God and you're not satisfied with what God has blessed you with, and you're just being greedy and selfish and going out seeking more outside of what God has blessed you with to be content in, you're never going to be satisfied because you don't have the joy of the Lord in you. You haven't found peace in God. So another thing is, don't get caught up in pleasing other people. Get caught up in pleasing God. That's who you need to get caught up in. That's who I need to get caught up in. That's who we all need to get caught up in. Get caught up in pleasing God. Because that's the relationship that matters. That's who we want to strive to continue to get close to. Okay? So, overall, chapter 6 encourages us to live with a balanced perspective, recognizing the limitations of earthly pursuits and finding true satisfaction in a deeper connection. That deeper connection is with who? Did you say God? Because that's the right answer. Okay? So, this chapter really puts it in perspective of how material things aren't going to go with us when we leave this earth and we stand before God on Judgment Day. I really don't think God is going to be worried about what all we did to obtain that car in our driveway or that gold watch, or like he's going to be worried about the inside. He's going to be worried about what's inside you. So put that in perspective, everybody. And when you go and you read chapter 6, it's really going to talk about how we need to prioritize what really matters. Reflect on your values and ensure that your actions align with what you truly believe is important. And don't waste your life chasing after things that will ultimately fade away. So, that is what I got from chapter 6 of Ecclesiastes. I hope you all got some tidbits from this. And until next time, see you soon.